Number 1. This 1940 Ford Coupe Gasser, currently listed at $39,500 in Solon, Ohio, is a purpose-built vintage drag-style street machine that captures the aggressive spirit of 1960s gasser racing while combining it with modern reliability and a freshly constructed chassis. According to the seller, this vehicle features an all-steel 1940 Ford Coupe body with lightweight rear fenders, mounted on a brand-new frame that has never been exposed to winter conditions or road salt. This detail is important because it suggests the foundation of the build is structurally clean and built for long-term durability. In my opinion, the most defining characteristic of this car is its clear focus on straight-line performance and drag racing inspiration. Under the hood sits a Ford 460 big block V8 engine, a well-known high-torque powerhouse capable of producing strong acceleration. The engine is paired with stainless steel headers, which help improve exhaust flow and contribute to the car's performance-oriented setup. The drivetrain consists of a turbo 400 automatic transmission with a manual valve body, combined with a high-stall 3,000 revolutions per minute torque converter. This configuration is commonly used in performance and drag racing applications because it allows for more direct control over shifting and improved launch characteristics. The rear end is a Ford 9-inch setup with 4.56 gears and 31 spline axles, which further reinforces the car's aggressive acceleration-focused design. The seller also notes that the car is built in a traditional straight-axle gasser style with a high stance and includes slick tires, indicating that it is ready for strip use or high-performance street driving. Additional spare parts are also included, suggesting that the vehicle has been maintained with practicality in mind for continued use and adjustment. Personally, I think the 1940 Ford Coupe Gasser represents a very specific and exciting niche in the classic car world. Unlike polished show cars or comfort-focused restomods, Gasser builds are designed to be loud, fast, and visually aggressive. They prioritize performance and attitude over luxury or refinement, and that identity is a big part of their appeal. For enthusiasts who appreciate vintage drag racing culture and want a street-legal machine with serious big block power, this example offers a strong package. At $39,500, it delivers a combination of classic Ford styling, race-inspired engineering, and raw performance character that is built to stand out both on the street and at the track. Number 2. In my opinion, this 1930 Ford Hot Rod Coupe, currently listed at $42,000 in Kouts, Indiana, is a clean and straightforward traditional street rod that focuses on classic early Ford styling paired with a professionally built modern Chevrolet V8 drivetrain. It is not a factory original restoration, but rather a purpose-built hot rod designed for performance, reliability, and visual impact. According to the seller, the car features an all-steel 2-door coupe body with no rust, which is a very important detail in the early Ford market. Steel-bodied pre-war Fords are often highly desirable because they preserve the original structure and feel of the car, especially when compared to fiberglass replicas commonly used in hot rod builds. In my view, this alone adds significant value and authenticity to the build. From a mechanical standpoint, the vehicle is powered by a professionally built 350 Chevrolet engine paired with an automatic transmission. This combination is one of the most widely used setups in the hot rod world due to its reliability, availability of parts, and strong performance characteristics. While the listing does not go into deep technical detail, the mention of a professionally built engine suggests it was assembled with performance and durability in mind rather than being a basic swap. With only around 300 miles driven since completion or build, the car appears to be in very fresh condition, likely still in the early stages of use after construction or restoration. In my perspective, this low usage level is often a positive sign for buyers looking for a recently completed build that has not been heavily worn or modified after completion. The exterior is described as red, which is a classic and fitting color choice for a traditional hot rod. Early Ford coupes like the 1930 model have long been a foundation of American hot rodding culture, and their compact proportions, flowing fenders, and vintage silhouette make them ideal platforms for performance builds like this one. Although the seller's description is brief, the key takeaways are clear: rust-free steel body, built 350 Chevy engine, automatic transmission, and minimal mileage since completion. This suggests a car that is likely intended for cruising, shows, and casual enjoyment rather than full-time daily driving or original preservation. Overall, I believe this 1930 Ford Hot Rod Coupe represents a solid example of a traditional American street rod with a strong emphasis on clean construction and proven mechanical components. For someone looking for a classic early Ford with modern V8 power and a rust-free foundation, this vehicle appears to be a straightforward and appealing option at its current asking price. Number 3. This 1939 Ford Standard two-door, currently listed at $12,500 in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, is a classic hot rod style build that reflects the back-in-the-day street machine era, combining a vintage Ford body with mid-century Chevrolet performance upgrades. According to the seller, the car is powered by a late 1950s 283 cubic inch Chevrolet V8 engine, paired with a 3-speed manual transmission mounted on the floor. In my opinion, this setup is very representative of early hot rod culture, where builders commonly swapped in small block Chevrolet engines due to their affordability, availability, and strong performance potential. The vehicle is described as having a very solid stock body, with the only notable modification being a shaved trunk lid. This detail suggests that the car still retains much of its original 1939 Ford character, while incorporating subtle custom touches that were popular in traditional hot rod styling from the 1960s. Up front, the car has been upgraded with disc brakes, which significantly improve stopping performance compared to the original factory braking system. Additional updates include new fuel and electrical system components, which help modernize the reliability of the vehicle while keeping its vintage appearance intact. From a condition standpoint, the seller notes that the paint and interior show wear, but still maintain a classic, period-correct look. In my view, this kind of patina often appeals to enthusiasts who appreciate authentic older builds rather than fully restored or over-polished show cars. One important detail is that the car has seen regular use in the past, but the seller recommends it be trailered due to health reasons forcing the sale. This suggests it is more of a seasoned driver than a recently restored vehicle, likely carrying the character and imperfections that come with decades of use. What stands out to me is the historical feel of this build. It is not a modern street rod or a high-dollar restoration, but rather a traditional hot rod that appears to have evolved over time, possibly reflecting modifications made during the 1960s and later maintained rather than completely rebuilt. Overall, if the seller's description is accurate, this 1939 Ford Standard represents an affordable entry into vintage hot rod ownership. It offers classic pre-war Ford styling, a period-correct Chevrolet V8 swap, and a genuine old-school driving experience that will likely appeal to enthusiasts who value character, history, and authenticity over perfection. Number 4. This 1947 Chevrolet Fleetmaster, currently listed at $8,400 in Putnam, Connecticut, is a post-war classic sedan that presents itself as a solid, usable driver with light mechanical attention and minor interior upgrades, making it an affordable entry point into vintage American car ownership. According to the seller, the vehicle shows approximately 59,696 miles and is currently running well after being brought out of winter storage. It has been inspected by mechanics, had a new 12-volt battery installed, and is described as a dependable running car rather than a project requiring major restoration. In my opinion, what makes this Fleetmaster interesting is its balance between originality and practical usability. While it is not a fully restored show car, it appears to be a preserved classic that has been kept functional and maintained enough to be enjoyed on the road. That kind of condition is often more appealing to buyers who want to actually drive their classic rather than store it. The interior has received some light updates, including new carpets and repaired door panels, which help improve the cabin's presentation without changing its original character. The front seat does show some wear, particularly on the driver's side, which is expected for a vehicle of this age and price range. The seller also notes that all buttons and switches are functional, which suggests that the electrical and control systems are intact and operational. That is an important detail for a car from the 1940s, where aging wiring and components are often common issues. From a design perspective, the 1947 Chevrolet Fleetmaster carries the smooth, rounded styling of the immediate post-war era, with simple yet elegant body lines that reflect Chevrolet's transition into more modern automotive design. The silver exterior paired with a brown interior gives it a classic and understated appearance. Overall, if the description is accurate, this 1947 Chevrolet Fleetmaster appears to be a straightforward, budget-friendly classic that offers running condition, light interior refurbishment, and solid mechanical basics. It is the kind of vintage car that appeals to enthusiasts looking for an affordable weekend cruiser with authentic post-war American character. Number 5. This 1948 Ford Business Coupe, currently listed at $21,500 in Indian River, Michigan, is a preserved post-war American classic that reflects an era when simplicity, durability, and clean design defined Ford's automotive lineup. In my opinion, what makes this car appealing is its balance between originality and long-term preservation. Unlike heavily modified hot rods or fully modernized restomods, this business coupe appears to remain mostly original, which gives it a more authentic vintage driving character. According to the listing, the vehicle was restored back in 1979 and has been well kept since then. While that restoration is not recent, it does suggest that the car has already gone through a significant preservation effort, helping it survive in usable condition for decades afterward. From a practical standpoint, older restorations like this often mean the car retains much of its original mechanical identity while still being roadworthy. Power comes from a 1949 Ford flathead V8 engine, an iconic power plant that played a major role in early American performance culture and hot rod history. In my view, the flathead V8 is one of the defining engines of its era, known for its simplicity and historical importance rather than modern performance figures. The seller also notes that the car is mostly original, which is an important detail for collectors who value authenticity over modification. Vehicles like this often appeal to enthusiasts who want to experience driving a piece of automotive history rather than a heavily altered version of it. Finished in a traditional coupe body style, the 1948 Ford Business Coupe carries a clean and functional design that was originally intended for traveling salesmen and business use. That practical heritage gives the car a unique place in Ford's history, combining utility with classic post-war styling. Overall, this 1948 Ford Business Coupe represents a well-preserved and mostly original classic that offers historical significance, vintage driving character, and a respected flathead V8 drivetrain. At $21,500, it sits in the range of a driver-quality collector car that appeals to enthusiasts who value originality and post-war American automotive history over modern customization or performance upgrades. Number 6. This 1939 Buick Special, currently listed at $18,500 in Birch Run, Michigan, is a classic pre-war American sedan that retains its original inline-8 engine configuration, offering a blend of vintage engineering, tasteful updates, and preserved period character. According to the seller, this Buick is powered by a 245 cubic inch inline 8-cylinder engine paired with a 3-speed manual transmission. The Carter downdraft carburetor has been professionally rebuilt, and the vehicle has also received a newer battery, newer white wall tires, and a relatively fresh paint job. These updates suggest that while the car retains its original mechanical identity, it has been maintained and refreshed to remain roadworthy and visually presentable. In my opinion, one of the most appealing aspects of this Buick Special is its classic straight-8 engine. Buick's inline-8 engines from this era are known for their smooth operation and distinctive pre-war driving feel, which sets them apart from more common inline-6 and V8 configurations of the time. For many enthusiasts, this kind of engine is a key part of the car's historical charm. The exterior appears to have been refinished in black, paired with tan interior trim, giving the car a traditional and elegant pre-war American look. Features such as the in-dash clock further reinforce its period-correct character, making it feel more authentic rather than heavily modified. The seller describes the vehicle as running and driving, which is an important detail for a car of this age. While no major performance upgrades are mentioned, the focus here seems to be on preservation and usability rather than modernization. This makes it more appealing to collectors who value originality and vintage driving experience over contemporary performance enhancements. Personally, I think the 1939 Buick Special represents an interesting balance between affordability and historical significance. It sits in an era where American automakers were refining both style and mechanical reliability, resulting in vehicles that are still visually striking today. While it may not offer the power or comfort of later classics, it provides a very authentic glimpse into pre-war automotive design and engineering. For enthusiasts looking for an entry-level classic with genuine vintage character, this Buick Special offers a solid opportunity. At $18,500, it delivers a combination of original inline-8 power, classic styling, and lightly updated components that make it suitable for casual driving and weekend enjoyment. Number 7. In my opinion, this 1929 Ford Tour sedan, currently listed at $18,500 in Princeton, Indiana, is a heavily customized old-school show car that reflects the traditional hot rod building style of the 1970s while combining Ford's early Model A body with later performance and suspension upgrades. According to the seller, the car is powered by a 302 V8 engine paired with a C4 automatic transmission, a combination that has long been popular for its simplicity, reliability, and strong aftermarket support. This drivetrain setup makes the vehicle far more practical and drivable than its original configuration, especially for cruising and show events. The listing also notes multiple mechanical upgrades, including a new radiator, fuel tank, electric fuel pump, water pump, fuse panel, relays, and a HEI ignition conversion with a Mallory distributor, all of which suggest the car has been modernized for dependable operation. From my perspective, one of the most interesting aspects of this build is its extensive use of chrome and Corvette components. The seller mentions a 1965 Corvair front-end conversion along with Corvette-style disc brakes, calipers, and rear-end components, all heavily chromed. While this type of modification is not original or factory correct in any sense, it is very consistent with the show car culture of earlier decades, where visual impact and customization were often prioritized over authenticity. The body is described as an all-steel Ford with no rust, which is an important detail for a vehicle of this age. Finished in purple with a custom interior and tilt steering wheel, it clearly reflects a personalized build rather than a restoration. The description also indicates that it has been garage-kept and built in the 1970s, which places it in the category of an older custom that has survived over time rather than a recent construction. From my point of view, this car is less about historical preservation and more about nostalgic hot rod culture. It represents a specific era of American car enthusiasm where creativity, chrome, and mechanical experimentation were central to the build philosophy. The mention that it is ready to go enjoy and previously used for events like Frog Follies reinforces that it is intended for show and casual enjoyment rather than strict originality or collector-grade restoration. Overall, I believe this 1929 Ford Tour sedan is best suited for someone who appreciates vintage custom show cars and the old-school hot rod scene. While it may not appeal to purists, it offers a unique blend of early Ford styling, classic 1970s customization, and modernized mechanical reliability that makes it a distinctive and usable piece of hot rod history. Number 8. This 1948 Ford Business Coupe, currently listed at $21,500 in Indian River, Michigan, is a post-war American classic that has been preserved in mostly original form and carries the character of an older, well-kept restoration. According to the seller, the vehicle was restored back in 1979 and has been carefully maintained since then. In my opinion, restorations from this era often have a distinct period-correct feel, reflecting the techniques and materials available at the time, which can give the car a unique vintage authenticity compared to modern, over-restored examples. The car is powered by a 1949 Ford flathead V8 engine, a well-known and historically significant power plant in early Ford history. These flathead engines are appreciated for their simplicity, reliability, and deep connection to the golden age of American hot rodding. While not high in horsepower by modern standards, They deliver a smooth and classic driving experience that many enthusiasts still value today. The seller notes that the vehicle remains mostly original, which suggests that it has not been heavily modified over the years. In my view, this kind of originality is increasingly rare, especially for vehicles that have been on the road and restored decades ago. It often appeals to collectors who prefer authenticity over modern customization. From a presentation standpoint, the coupe appears to be well preserved and properly cared for rather than heavily altered or neglected. While it is not described as a show-quality concours restoration, it seems to sit comfortably in the category of a well-maintained classic driver. What stands out to me is the balance between restoration history and originality. A car restored in 1979 and still in good condition today often reflects long-term care by owners who appreciated the vehicle enough to preserve rather than continuously modify it. Overall, if the seller's description is accurate, this 1948 Ford Business Coupe represents a solid and honest classic Ford offering. It combines post-war styling, a historically important flathead V8 engine, and decades of preservation, making it an appealing option for enthusiasts who value traditional American automotive heritage in a usable, well-kept form. Number 9. This 1934 Ford Coupe, currently listed at $48,000 in Gurnee, Illinois, is a heavily customized hot rod that blends iconic pre-war Ford styling with modern fabrication, performance upgrades, and bold custom design choices. According to the listing, the car features a fiberglass body instead of an original steel shell, which is a common approach in high-end hot rod builds to reduce weight and simplify customization. Power comes from a 350 cubic inch V8 engine, paired with modern supporting systems that make the vehicle far more usable than its original 1930s configuration. In my opinion, what immediately stands out about this build is its aggressive customization direction. The Plymouth Prowler-inspired purple paint gives it a very modern, attention-grabbing appearance that contrasts heavily with its vintage coupe silhouette. This kind of color choice is often used in show-focused builds where visual impact is a priority. One of the most distinctive features is the inclusion of electronic suicide doors, which is a major custom fabrication element. While not original to any 1930s Ford design, it significantly enhances the car's show appeal and gives it a futuristic hot rod personality. The vehicle is also equipped with front and rear power disc brakes, air conditioning, a radio system, and manual seats, suggesting that while the exterior is highly customized, the interior retains a more straightforward and functional layout. In my view, this balance is often intentional in builds like this, where exterior presentation is prioritized but drivability is still considered important. From a performance and chassis standpoint, the car uses a Mustang rear end with narrowed axles and a modernized cooling system that includes a 5-row radiator with an auxiliary fan. These upgrades are essential for handling the heat and stress of a V8 powered custom build, especially one that may be driven in varied conditions or displayed at events. Overall, if the construction quality is solid, this 1934 Ford Coupe appears to be a show-oriented custom hot rod designed for visual impact, modern drivability, and standout features rather than historical authenticity. It is the kind of vehicle that attracts attention at car shows and events, combining classic proportions with bold, contemporary customization. Number 10. This 1941 Chevy Street Rod, currently listed at $15,000 in Hanover, Pennsylvania, is a vintage American coupe that has been converted into a basic custom street rod, blending early 1940s styling with upgraded drivetrain and driving components from a later restoration period. In my opinion, what makes this car interesting is the mix of usable mechanical upgrades and unfinished cosmetic condition. Unlike fully restored show cars, this Chevy appears to sit in a driver-level project category, where it is functional but still requires bodywork and paint to reach a finished standard. According to the listing, the car is powered by a rebuilt Pontiac 400 engine with under 40,000 miles. From a performance standpoint, this is a significant upgrade over the original factory setup, offering strong torque and durability. Paired with an automatic transmission, the drivetrain suggests the car is intended to be more of a cruiser than a strictly period-correct restoration. The vehicle also includes power steering and power brakes, which in my view are important comfort and safety upgrades that make older cars far more manageable in modern traffic. These modifications indicate that the car was built with usability in mind rather than being kept fully original. Inside, the car features a custom interior with personalized detailing, including 1941 and Fat Daddy embroidered into the seats and door panels. While this is clearly a stylistic choice from its 1980s era customization, it also reflects the period when many street rods were built with bold, personalized interiors rather than factory-correct finishes. The seller notes that the car was built in the 1980s and is now in fair condition, needing bodywork and paint. From a practical perspective, this places the vehicle in the category of an older custom build that may require cosmetic refreshment but already has its major mechanical components in place. One important advantage mentioned in the listing is that the vehicle currently holds a valid Pennsylvania street rod inspection through 2027. In my opinion, this is a valuable detail because it indicates the car is legally recognized for road use in its current modified form, which can simplify ownership and enjoyment for the next buyer. Overall, this 1941 Chevy Street Rod represents a partially finished custom classic with strong mechanical upgrades and outdated but functional customization work. At $15,000, it sits in the range of an affordable, drivable project car that could either be enjoyed as is or further refined into a cleaner, more modern street rod, depending on the owner's vision and budget. Number 11. This 1952 Dodge Coronet, currently listed at $8,500 in East Sandwich, Massachusetts, is a post-war American sedan that retains its original drivetrain and presents itself as a solid, running classic with honest condition and minimal modification, making it an approachable entry point into early 1950s Dodge ownership. According to the seller, this vehicle is powered by its original flathead inline-six engine paired with a gyromatic semi-automatic transmission, a unique early Chrysler-era system that still requires a clutch but allows for easier shifting compared to a fully manual gearbox. The car is reported to run well, suggesting it remains mechanically functional despite its age. In my opinion, one of the most interesting aspects of this Coronet is its originality. In a market where many vintage cars have been heavily modified or restomodded, finding a vehicle that still retains its factory engine and drivetrain setup gives it a strong sense of historical authenticity. The flathead six-cylinder engine is not focused on performance, but rather on smooth, dependable operation typical of early 1950s American sedans. The seller also emphasizes that the car is solid with no rust or rot, including intact floors. This is a particularly important detail, as structural corrosion is one of the most common issues in vehicles of this era. A solid body significantly increases the value and usability of a project or driver quality classic. Being a four-door sedan, this Dodge Coronet also stands out as a more practical classic compared to two-door coupes that dominate the collector market. While it may not carry the same sporty appeal, it offers more interior space and a relaxed driving character, which can be appealing for casual cruising or vintage daily driver use. Personally, I think the 1952 Dodge Coronet represents an overlooked segment of early post-war American automobiles. It reflects a transitional design period where manufacturers were moving toward more modern styling and improved drivability, yet still retained much of the mechanical simplicity of earlier decades. For buyers looking for an affordable vintage car that is already running and structurally sound, this example presents a strong value proposition. At $8,500, it offers originality, usability, and classic early 1950s character without the high entry cost often associated with restored or modified vehicles. Number 12. In my opinion, this 1947 Cadillac Series 62, currently listed at $37,000 in Prince Frederick, Maryland, is a classic example of post-war American luxury that blends restored mechanical reliability with the timeless elegance Cadillac was known for in the late 1940s. According to the seller, the vehicle runs and drives well and has undergone important mechanical improvements, including new brakes, new brake lines, and a rebuilt engine. These updates are especially significant for a car of this era, as they directly improve safety, drivability, and overall confidence on the road. The inclusion of an appraisal report also suggests that the vehicle has been evaluated for value and condition, which can be an added reassurance for potential buyers. From my perspective, the 1947 Cadillac Series 62 holds strong appeal because it represents the beginning of Cadillac's post-war design identity. Long, flowing body lines, substantial presence, and a clear focus on luxury and comfort. Even without detailed modification history, these cars naturally stand out due to their proportions and styling alone. Finished in red with a tan interior, this example likely presents a classic and visually striking color combination that enhances its vintage luxury character. The seller notes that the car has been rebuilt mechanically while still maintaining its original identity, which places it in the category of a well-maintained driver-quality classic rather than a fully restored concours showpiece. In my opinion, that often makes a vehicle more enjoyable for real-world use, since it balances authenticity with practical reliability improvements. The stated mileage of 1,234 miles is likely related to the rebuild or odometer reset rather than total lifetime mileage, which is common in restored or partially restored classic cars. As with any vehicle of this age, especially a luxury model with more complex systems than smaller sedans of the time, continued maintenance and careful inspection remain important considerations. Overall, I believe this 1947 Cadillac Series 62 offers a strong combination of classic Cadillac prestige, improved mechanical condition, and usable driving capability. It stands out as a solid post-war luxury cruiser for someone who appreciates vintage American elegance, but also wants a car that has already received key mechanical attention and is ready to be enjoyed on the road. Number 13. This 1946 Ford GT Gold four-door sedan, currently listed at $23,000 in Harrogate, Tennessee, is a post-war Ford that has been significantly modernized into a comfortable Restomod-style cruiser while still retaining its original classic body design, including the distinctive suicide rear doors. According to the seller, the car is powered by a 4.8-liter fuel-injected engine paired with a 4-speed automatic transmission. In my opinion, this type of drivetrain conversion is a major upgrade over the original flathead-era Ford engines, offering much better reliability, fuel efficiency, and everyday drivability, especially for longer highway use. The listing also states that the vehicle is equipped with power steering, power brakes, and air conditioning. These features dramatically improve comfort and usability, transforming what was originally a mid-1940s sedan into something that can realistically be enjoyed in modern traffic conditions without the usual challenges of vintage driving. From an aesthetic standpoint, the car is finished in a chestnut paint with gold fleck, giving it a custom show car appearance. While not factory original, this type of finish is often used in Restomod builds to highlight the vehicle's custom identity and set it apart from more traditional restorations. The seller reports approximately 5,500 miles driven, suggesting that the car has likely been used sparingly since its build or engine conversion. In my view, this low mileage can be a positive sign, but still requires careful inspection to verify the quality of workmanship and long-term reliability. What stands out to me is the balance between vintage design and modern mechanical upgrades. The suicide rear doors and classic Ford body preserve its historical character, while the fuel-injected V8 drivetrain and modern comfort features place it firmly in the Restomod category. Overall, if the seller's description is accurate, this 1946 Ford four-door sedan represents a comfortable and usable classic cruiser. It offers a strong combination of vintage styling and modern performance upgrades, making it a practical option for someone who wants an old-school look with contemporary driving convenience. Number 14. This 1937 Chevrolet Master Deluxe, currently listed at $40,000 in Flat Rock, Michigan, is a fully restored pre-war American classic that preserves its original engineering while presenting a clean and functional example of late 1930s Chevrolet design. According to the seller, the vehicle is powered by a 216 cubic inch inline-six engine paired with a 3-speed manual transmission. This drivetrain is consistent with Chevrolet's factory setup for the era, offering a traditional driving experience that reflects how these cars were originally intended to perform on the road. In my opinion, What makes this car appealing is its focus on restoration rather than modification. Unlike many street rods or restomods that heavily alter the original structure, this Master Deluxe appears to stay close to its factory configuration, which can be especially attractive to collectors who value authenticity and historical accuracy. The listing notes that the car runs and drives and has been completely restored, which suggests it is not a project vehicle, but rather a finished classic ready for use. That alone places it in a different category compared to many partially completed builds in the same price range. The exterior is finished in black, paired with a red interior, a classic color combination that works very well with pre-war Chevrolet body styling. In my view, this contrast enhances the car's elegant lines and gives it a strong visual presence without needing modern styling modifications. The 1937 Chevrolet Master Deluxe is known for its smooth, rounded body design and improved comfort compared to earlier models, marking an important step in Chevrolet's evolution during the pre-war automotive period. Even today, its proportions and styling remain highly recognizable among vintage car enthusiasts. From a usability standpoint, retaining the original 216 inline-six and manual transmission means the driving experience will be more mechanical and traditional. While it may not offer modern performance or comfort features, it does provide an authentic connection to how cars were driven in the late 1930s. Overall, if the restoration quality is as described, this 1937 Chevrolet Master Deluxe appears to be a well-presented, fully restored classic that emphasizes originality, historical value, and traditional driving character. It is a strong option for enthusiasts who prefer a factory-correct vintage vehicle rather than a heavily modified hot rod. Number 15. This 1937 to 1938 Oldsmobile two-door sedan, currently listed at $1,300 in Blossville, New York, is a non-running vintage project car being offered primarily as a rat rod candidate, parts donor, or potential yard art build. In my opinion, what makes this listing notable is its extreme simplicity and raw condition. Unlike restored classics or even partially functional project cars, this Oldsmobile is essentially a bare foundation with no engine or transmission included, which immediately places it in the lowest tier of restoration feasibility, but also opens the door for highly creative custom builds. According to the listing, the seller is even uncertain whether the car is a 1937 or 1938 model, which highlights how long it has likely been sitting and used. From a practical standpoint, this level of uncertainty is common in abandoned or heavily neglected vintage vehicles, where documentation and original identification details may have been lost over time. The vehicle is described as a rat rod or potential yard art, indicating that it is not being marketed as a restoration project in the traditional sense. Instead, it is being offered as a blank canvas for builders who value patina, raw steel, and artistic customization over originality or mechanical completeness. One significant drawback is the lack of a title, no paper, which in my view is an important consideration for anyone planning to restore or legally register the vehicle for road use. Without proper documentation, the car is generally limited to off-road use, parts recovery, or private property display unless legal paperwork can be reestablished. From a design perspective, even in its deteriorated state, early Oldsmobile two-door sedans from this era carry strong pre-war styling cues, with rounded fenders and classic proportions that are often favored in traditional hot rod and rat rod culture. This gives the vehicle aesthetic potential despite its missing mechanical components. Overall, this 1937 to 1938 Oldsmobile sedan represents a very low-cost entry point into vintage car ownership, but strictly as a project shell rather than a functional automobile. At $1,300, it is best suited for experienced builders or enthusiasts who are comfortable with fabrication work, custom builds, or simply preserving it as a static piece of automotive history rather than restoring it to driving condition.